Do 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 do. Is this saying live? Hello,
Yeah.
everybody. Welcome to another Sardonicast podcast. I'm
God.
I'm Julian from Power Empire, and say say I'm Rolf the Movie Maker at YouTube/.com Rolf the Movie Maker.
Okay.
Anyways, we're Tino's gonna be joining later today, and in a little bit. First, we're gonna talk about the Mummy, the Brendan Fraser Mummy trilogy, and then we'll talk about Blue Velvet. So the um, so I'm talking about the first Mummy movie, which came out 1999, which yeah, it came out 1999. Pretty big movie when it came out. Uh, I watched it when I was like a little kid. I don't really remember much of it, and then I rewatched it uh, just recently, a few weeks ago, and yeah, I never really thought this movie was great or anything. I didn't think it was bad, but I didn't care much for it. I remember people really liking these type of movies, and so yeah, the first Mummy movie, um, the fucking I don't remember the characters' names. The Mummy, there's the Mummy, and it shows his little backstory, and it rips off shots from the DreamWorks movie Prince of Egypt, and yeah, and then he comes back in like spirit or as the Mummy, and fucking then there's these other mummies, and yeah, I have a hard time talking about the plot of these movies because they're so fucking lame and like not interesting. It's just all blurred to me. But yeah, um, and then Brendan Fraser and oh yeah, he gets arrested and he's like about to get executed, and the librarian chick saves him like last minute, and then she has like a gay brother, and he's like a librarian archaeologist or some shit. And yeah, it's about their adventures and trying to stop the mummy and stuff. That's the first one. Uh, what did you think of this movie, Carlos? He muted right when I asked him, "What do you think of this movie?"
I don't know. It was just a man movie. I remember watching this as a kid, not a kid, but younger, around it was on TV. I really honestly don't remember watching it fully. This was kind of, but on my end, it was like freezing up or whatever. But it was just a meh movie. Like meh, like they tried new things, but I don't know if like at the time CGI wasn't like a big thing. Kind of, I don't know, in the 90s, was in 2000s, but
Yeah,
it was just meh in a way. Like they tried new things, but it looked a bit like off at some point, but they tried.
yeah. This has dated CGI, but I don't think this one. I don't think is bad for 1999. I don't
No,
think. Um, this came out the same year as The Matrix and Phantom Menace, which I think have better well at the time better CGI for
yeah,
obvious reasons. I think they had bigger budgets, but this had a
yeah,
pretty, I think, big budget. Uh,
yeah,
it looked like it to me. Um,
yeah.
And then this came out a year after Blade, and which
Yeah.
this is almost the CGI is on par with Blade.
Hmm.
Uh,
Which isn't
but
that coming out? Isn't that new Blade coming out soon?
yeah,
Uh,
yeah, I don't care for that, but yeah,
yeah.
it's
I'm just asking.
and this has like big sets. I was surprised because I always thought I know there's a lot of CGI in this movie and stuff,
Yeah.
and it has like it has like pretty big sets and stuff. I was like surprised. Looked like it had a pretty big budget. Um,
Hmm.
yeah, there's not this one in particular. There's not a lot to talk about. It's pretty
Yeah.
average. Like,
Yeah.
eh. Um, I would rate this one a 5 out of 10.
A five?
Yeah,
I'll go same. I'll go five.
yeah. It's just super, mediocre
Yeah.
movie. So then there's The Mummy Returns, which this is this is the Empire Strikes Back of the Mummy movies. This
Yeah.
is the most epic, and uh, so this one is about the Scorpion King, the Rock,
Yeah.
and that one dude, the what's his name, the Mummy, and the first one's back, but he's like, yeah, this one's just fucking wow, just like
It's like,
in a
wow, it
balls out.
happened.
I don't even know where
It
to begin.
happened. Yeah.
Fucking the CGI and this is considered one of the worst CGI movies ever made, and it's like all the characters, CGI characters look like PS2 render characters.
Yeah.
The Rock in this looks like they just took like a model from the WWE games at the time and just fucking
Yeah.
threw it in there. It is so bad. I
Yeah.
the uh there's stuff like the whole gimmick of the first one. They always showed it in the trailer and the poster. How the mommy like he's like turns into a sand monster or whatever.
Yeah.
This one he's like there's a shot where it's like a waterfall.
Yeah.
It's fucking weird. It doesn't even look cool. The sand I never thought was cool, but I get why someone would think that's cool. The waterfall I just don't even get. And the fucking the ending is just pretty much what I mostly have to talk about. Like
Yeah.
yeah, so the Rock shows up, Scorpion King. He's like blatant CGI, shitty
Yeah.
CGI, and fucking Brendan Fraser is on the ground. Scorpion King is like holding him down, and then the mummy dude runs in a frame randomly, but there's like a delay, like a three
Yeah.
second delay. Comes running into frame, then stops, and then
Yeah.
yells, "No!"
Oh my gosh.
Then it cuts to because there's a battle going on outside. And then it
Yeah.
cuts to this army, which is really super sped up. It's like the army of the mummies or whatever. And then
Yeah.
they're like fighting them. And then so anyway, Scorpion King dies or whatever, and then fucking the army turns into dust, and then
Yeah.
the guys just stop. The main guy, they all just stop. They look around. And I've
Yeah.
seen this in so many movies. It's dumb. And then the guy looks around, and goes, "Yeah!" with his arms in the air. They won. It's so bad. And then there's like a tornado all of a sudden, and I have to establish this in the beginning of the movie, in the flashback scene. The Rock, he's like in the desert, like dehydrated, hungry, and stuff. And then he bites he finds a scorpion on the ground. He bites it. He eats it. Bites into it, and all of a sudden the sand around him turns into like some like vegetation, and it's just so weird looking. It looks
Yeah,
like PS2 grass, and it's like fucking
yeah,
the it's at the end of the movie, the tornado. The vegetation's there,
yeah,
and then it sucks up all the trees and stuff. It's like that Mickey Mouse cartoon when he has the band, he's conducting, and there's that tornado. That's all it
yeah,
is. It's a rip off of the old Mickey Mouse cartoon. And then they're on a pyramid and they're like floating. I think they're float. Nah, they might just be on the pyramid, but like fucking, there's a tornado around them. And then it stops, and yeah, I mean that's like the Mummy Returns. Like,
yeah.
um, any thoughts on that one? Any comments?
I don't know, man. It was just like it was just a trip. Like from start to finish. I don't know. Like I don't know how you understand like Scorpion King was a big thing at this time, but like did they really have to combine both of them? Was it like just a crossover that we forgot that
Uh,
happened?
yeah, the Scorpion King. No, it was after this movie. It was
It
like
was
a
after?
spin-off. Yeah,
Uh,
I thought the Scorpion King was a spin-off. Yeah, it is a
uh
spin-off. Yeah, and they
mhm.
made three of those movies. And the third one has
Yeah.
uh um fuck, who is it? You know him.
Batista? No, that's not it.
Yeah, who
Batista?
I almost want to say is uh fuck. No, 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 no. But yeah, while I'm looking it up, what would you rate this one?
I wanted to rate it higher because of the rock scene, but I don't know.
It's so funny. Okay, this is the worst one, I think, but I think it's
Yeah,
the fun, like the most entertaining, funniest one.
yeah.
Um,
I would just
it
want to give
is.
it a 6.
Yeah,
It's a bit
yeah,
higher,
Batista
but
than the
yeah,
Scorpion
it's
King.
Batista.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
but I just want to give the movie a bit higher, like at least a point, like 6, just because of the rock scene.
uh, yeah, I would. I kind of, man, I'm gonna go with in my own rating system. I would my personal rating system. This would be like a 3.
Yeah,
Um, this would be a 3 out of 10 because me 3 out of 10s are like bad movies,
yeah,
but 3 out of 10 usually there's even quality to it,
yeah,
and this does. 2 out of 10 wouldn't have the redeeming quality. It would just be
yeah.
if this had none of those funny scenes, it would probably just be a 2 out of 10 movie.
Yeah, it was bad, but
But
just the rock scene. I guess I'm gonna change it. I guess I give it a 4.
okay,
Like it was just mad, but like there were some entertaining things that happened.
right.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah, this is definitely like the funniest, most entertaining out of the three. But it's like the worst, the technical worst. Um, and then move on to like how many years was it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 years?
yeah.
Eight,
I
10,
don't know.
9, 8. Yeah, 7 years later, Mummy 2 and the Dragon Emperor. And I don't. Was there even anybody that was wanted a Mummy 3?
I didn't know it
Like,
existed.
I don't think so. I don't know. But uh, yeah, this one is pretty mediocre. It's kind of on par with the first one. It's but this one has Jet Li in it, and it's like in China. They
Yeah,
changed the locations, and I was kind of confused about the timeline of this one. I'm
yeah,
guessing the it's like the 50s. I'm guessing because or I don't know if the Brendan Fraser's son's supposed to be way younger than the
Yeah,
actor, because I looked up the actor and he was like 27
yeah,
when he did this, and I was like, is he like is his character 27, or is like his character way younger? Because Brendan Fraser is not that old. That's why I was like, there like in real life, he wouldn't be like, I don't know, old enough. Maybe if he was like a fucking teenager or something. I don't know.
yeah,
Like, I think Brandon Fraser's like in his 50s or
yeah,
whatever. But yeah, it's like the same shit, but it's in China. God, what face is this one? But yeah, it um then like there's a girl that's kind of with them, the Chinese girl that Brendan Fraser's son uh is like his girlfriend, but he like says it's not his girlfriend. And then the beginning of the movie, it shows what they're doing, where they're at nowadays, and his son works for he's like archaeologist now, and
yeah,
then I don't know what Brendan Fraser does, and then his wife is like writes stories, writes books about their adventures. What's called the books The Mummy Returns. And
yeah,
I thought it would have been a little more interesting if they were like movies or whatever in the universe, like old
yeah.
movie, like those old mummy movies. That'd been a little more interesting, like a version of I don't know. But yeah, this one, yeah. What was I gonna talk? I fucking lost my train of thought. Um, fucking the brother Jonathan
Yeah,
owns some nightclub, and it's so on the nose. It's like mummy themed, a mummy themed night. It's so on the nose. And then his son, Brendan Fraser's son, shows up and gets in a fight with somebody, and then Brendan Fraser shows up and he witnesses the fight, and he's like, "What are you doing, son?" And then it's some old dude. I think it's the dude from the first one or whatever. Like shows
yeah,
up. He was like, "Ah, oh, buddy." It's so fucking dumb.
yeah,
And yeah, the whole movie's fucking stupid. But uh then they go to China, they go to like Tibet or whatever, and then they climb
yeah.
up mountains, and then fucking Brendan Fraser, the wife, whatever her name was, is like just awkwardly ask her son about how many people he had sex with, and then
What?
he's all like, "That's not something you should know." And then um yeah, and then fucking they fight some mummies.
Yeah,
I read someone where someone saying this isn't a mummy movie because there's no mummies, but
yeah,
they are mummies technically.
yeah,
Not, it doesn't have there's it's not it doesn't always have to be in Egypt.
yeah. We can do it anywhere.
Yeah, and yeah, it was a dumb comment I saw somewhere, but uh, what do you think? Oh yeah, I thought this was weird. That because his son hooks up with that chick, and
Yeah,
that's the daughter of the emperor or whatever, and he's like ancient, and she's ancient too. So would that
yeah.
make her a elf ancestor I'd like to fuck?
Okay.
I'm being serious, because she's ancient.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, um, what do you think of this one?
I don't know, dude. It was just so like once
I
like
was
you
dozing off while watching it.
yeah, I was too. I was like, is this for real? Like you just went from like this was just like you like okay, this is a movie. It should be interesting. It just went to like a complete like 180 turn. Like I don't know. Like it was just weird.
Remember the beginning?
Yeah.
I kind of wrote it down. Wait, where was it? Oh, where's my fuck's my phone? Uh, but it was so it was the beginning, they showed the um the backstory,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know. And then it ends and then it says the Mummy, Tomb of the Dragon Emperor. It's kind of dramatic.
Yeah.
And it cuts and it shows a shot of Brendan Fraser's face, a close up, and then he says, "You won't get away this time."
And he's flying
You
fishing.
won't, or whatever.
Yeah.
And there's like a pause and it shows him fishing.
Like
It's weird as shit. And he looked like he wasn't even like trying to act or anything. He was just like, it was so weird. I don't even know why that was there.
yeah.
It
Yeah.
wasn't funny. It wasn't uh any, I don't know, it was just so weird. And these movies have really bad editing. Like terrible.
Yeah.
Um yeah, and fucking the what was it? Um oh yeah, the ending scene, the Dragon Emperor can turn like a beast or whatever. I don't know what you
Yeah. Yeah.
call it. And he like transforms and it looks so bad, even for like 2008. This is when like I mean, not all 2008 CGI holds up, but Transformers 1 is out, Iron Man 1, like a lot of better CGI films are out. And fucking he transforms into the beast thing
Yeah.
and the fucking the footage speeds up. Like it's so weird. And yeah, yeah, this movie is just not very good.
I
You
honestly, when
you could
I
argue
honestly,
this one. What's that?
I honestly like when I saw the beginning. I honestly thought we were watching a different movie. I couldn't tell.
Yeah,
There's like say, yeah. It was just like, wait, what?
you could. Uh, I think this is the least entertaining out of the series,
yeah.
but it's not the worst out of the series.
No.
Um, it if I saw this a long time ago, which I didn't see it in the theaters, I didn't give a shit. I saw 2008. This came out in 2008. Think about this. This came out the same year as Iron Man. This was a big year. I remember 2008 was a big year for movies. Most of the biggest movies came out that year.
Yeah.
Like we have years where um uh fucking I hope he doesn't let me type this fucking email again. It's just so long. But this came out the same year as Iron Man, Incredible
hmm
Hulk, Dark Knight, um, Hancock, which is an honorable mention. Um, fucking, uh, yeah, 2008. There Will Be Blood was 2007, but 2008 was like a really. There's other ones I'm missing. Hellboy 2. There's a lot. This was a huge year for movies,
Yeah.
and all the movies were very successful, critically acclaimed, and stuff. And um, yeah, this movie just uh was um yeah, this movie just nobody cared even when it came out. I don't remember. I remember the trailers, and I don't remember. Um, yeah, I actually there is one person I remember that cared. Oh look, Tino's here finally.
Hey y'all, Scott here.
Hey.
We were just talking about the Mummy. We're finishing up talking about the Mummy 3.
Yeah, I was listening in.
But this, yeah, the So yeah, this year, 2008 was a really big year for movies, and then this came out and nobody really gave a shit about it. But I
Honestly,
remember
damn.
one person.
It was like 7 years after Mummy Returns, so it's like, who gives a shit?
Yeah,
And I
it's
was
like,
just saying, this year was a huge year for blockbuster movies. Like,
It was like when they made that sequel to Zorro, like long after nobody gave a shit, and it
oh
was so
yeah,
bad.
I think I saw that in the theaters. I think a long time ago. I don't remember it. But yeah, fucking. But one person, and you know who that person is, Carlos.
no.
I don't know why I had this memory. Our boy Levon, a long time ago, I remember talking about this movie when it came out, and I've known him since elementary school. And I remember we were in the class, and there was like some student teacher or whatever. He was helping with something, and they're like, I don't know how Mummy 3 got brought up, and they're all talking about it. Like, yeah, this looks cool. And at the time, I thought it was weird because I was like, Mummy 3, who gives a shit? At the time, I was confused because that was when all those big superhero movies came out and stuff. I was like, here's a fuck about the Mummy 3 when you have like Iron Man and the Dark Knight.
Yeah.
But yeah, he did. Levon was the only. I don't know how I remembered that. He was the only person I remember. Like, oh yeah, that was pretty cool. And they made a game for this too. I believe they made a game for all of them. Games for all of them, I think. But which looks shitty. I've seen the footage.
Obvious.
But yeah, you have any other thoughts on the Mummy 3, Carlos?
This was a very out of place movie from the series. I could just leave it as that.
Yeah, I'd give this not a 6 out of 10. I'd give it a 4 out of 10.
I'd give it a 3.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's the least entertaining one of the series, but I think it's not the worst.
No.
Yeah. Tino, do you have any thoughts on these movies in general?
No, I
It's
saw the
just-
first. I saw the first one when I was very young, and I don't remember much of it.
Yeah.
So I've got nothing to contribute. Brendan Fraser's awesome
anyway,
though.
we'll move on to Blue Velvet, which is a huge polar opposite step.
What are you talking about? It's the exact same fucking movie. David Lynch looked at the future and ripped off the Mummy 3.
I've not seen this movie, so I don't know.
Don't you remember the scene where Brendan Fraser's like, God, just punish my cock. Oh,
What?
baby wants to fuck. Well, to the uninitiated who are not familiar with David Lynch's 1986 crime thriller masterpiece, Blue Velvet.
Hey, that's me.
It is the story. It is the story about, I forget his name. God. Kyle MacLachlan, who plays
Jeffrey
Beaumont. Jeffrey Beaumont, who is he's a young chipper man who returns home because his dad got like strangled by his own garden hose or something like that. And while he's walking through, he finds a human ear. So he takes it to the detective and he's like, yeah, we'll follow up on this. And they're not going, they're not making too many strides. So Jeffrey's curious and he starts to explore it himself. Meets up with the police chief's daughter, played by Laura Dern, and they find out that there's a connection to this singer at a nightclub, played by Isabella Rossellini. Jeffrey follows her home, sneaks into her apartment, and he finds that she first she tries to attack him, and then she starts laying sexual moves upon him, And then Dennis Hopper comes into the picture, who's this just like sadistical, he's like a sadist as well as a masochist with these weird sexual fucking abusive urges, and he's kidnapped her child and her husband and is basically making her his whore, and it's just a bunch of stuff like that. I don't want to spoil the movie. That's basically the first half.
Wow.
Yeah. This is a very, very aggressive movie. It's kind of dreamlike. A lot of the events just sort of happen, and then once it all ends, there's this feeling that like you've just kind of recovered from a bad dream. The way the movie exits out. I believe this movie was actually a success. It was one of David Lynch's rare like box office hits, because I guess it was just the right amount of shocking but accessibility that audiences latched onto it. Though not everyone was crazy about it. Famously, Roger Ebert.
That's just my Beautiful Darkness of Fantasy review.
Yeah, right. Yeah, Roger Ebert, in a moment of just kind of a bit puritanism, was basically just like, this movie is exploitative to Isabel Rossellini, because of the stuff that is simulated in the movie. There's not actual like sexual sadism going on in the movie. She's not actually being beaten and raped by Dennis Hopper, but Roger Ebert considered that degrading enough to accuse David Lynch of just like exploitation, which Isabella Rossellini denied, and yeah. So he had a very prudish approach to the movie. I, on the other hand, very much enjoyed this movie.
Yeah, this was a box office, like did well in the box office.
I believe so. Let me double check.
Because I know it was a very critically acclaimed movie when it
Mhm.
came out. It's actually his most critically acclaimed movie.
Yeah, most of his movies are pretty big with critics, other than like Dune, which has just sort of like a cult following. But he did it grossed 8.6 million. I can't imagine that
Imagine what?
well, I can't imagine that the budget was that big, so it was probably
It's pretty good for one of his movies.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because his like movies are I don't know, like they're not very accessible. My dad, I got into David Lynch because of my dad, and he actually saw Inland Empire when it came out.
Oh my gosh!
There's this art, like not art house. It's like an indie movie theater that's not too far from me, far from where I live, and it's a really tiny theater. And I guess they played it there. And he said it was like a really weird experience because it was a tiny room, and he saw it, and most of the people in there were like old people.
Hmm.
It wasn't like packed or anything. It was just like weird. I don't know. But
Well, okay.
yeah.
So, the opening weekend, it grossed a total of like close to 800,000. It was on a budget of 6 million, and grossed a total of 8 million domestically. So yeah, basically that's a modest success right there, like a 2 million. It made $2 million. So yeah, as far as David Lynch is concerned, like yeah, that's a very modest success. It was polarizing. There were apparently walkouts because it is a bit of a shocking film. But a lot of David.
Probably at the Cannes.
No, this was just like domestic theaters and stuff like that.
The Cannes, I was gonna say, I noticed a trend. The Cannes Film Festival. I've noticed there's a lot of stories where directors always say people always walk out of their movies at that festival.
Yeah, a lot of movies. Yeah, David Lynch got booed at Cannes a few times. Twin Peaks: Fire and Walk with Me got booed, and I'm like, well, y'all should have watched the show then.
Well, I think it's weird that there'd be booing with in those with those type of movies. I don't
Yeah,
know.
it's like, yeah.
I can get not
That's
liking
weird
it.
that people get think.
I can
I
get
feel
not
like
but booing at that type of I don't know. It's weird to me.
that just seems rude for a prestigious film festival.
Yeah,
But maybe booed is just another word for people going, ah. I don't know.
yeah.
But yeah, I really like the elements to this movie. It's got this sort of domestic noir with a very a subversive dark take on sort of 1950s Americana with the white picket fences, the Bobby Darin music, the nice dresses, the sock ups, cars, beers, having some beers with the boys, watering my lawn. But then the movie starts out and have this nice landscape, and then the camera pans under. You get to see the worms, and then something as simple as just watering the grass. Then he ends up like getting the guy almost killed. He just gets strangled by his own garden hose, which I still don't know how that works. But yeah, and this was kind of the environment that David Lynch grew up in. This just sort of 50s Americana. So I think he's subverting that, which he did, which is also very much what Twin Peaks did with the use of a small town and the dark secrets behind it, because that is sort of reality, like the sort of rose-tinted goggles we have on the past and stuff like that. There's always something bad going on underneath that, if it's racism or crime or sexual abuse and stuff like that.
There's a theory out there that Jeffrey's character is the same character as Dale Cooper. I don't know.
With Twin Peaks opens itself completely to the fact that any David Lynch movie could be in it, because Twin Peaks has like a sort of infinite multiverse kind of, and
Yeah.
Any movie can be inside the world of Twin Peaks. It's inside a dream. Yeah, a lot of people try to like do the Pixar theory and like make a Lynch verse.
I've never seen one.
There is something someone said that like apparently Lost Highway is supposed to, which I haven't seen yet, supposedly takes place in Twin Peaks, but I don't know.
I think it's called reaching.
Yeah,
it's like
no,
the Star
maybe
Wars
we all.
series.
Though there was that post-credit sequence in this movie where Jeffrey Beaumont is approached by David Lynch as Gordon Cole, and he said, "Jeffrey Beaumont, I'm here to tell you about the Blue Rose Initiative." Yeah. What if we just MCU'd the David Lynch verse? Eraserhead, Elephant Man.
I want to see Sam Jackson in a David Lynch movie.
Sam Jackson in a David Lynch movie.
But this is a detail I was actually looking it up. I never saw anybody mention it. I don't know if you got it. Jeffrey's character, because I know that this movie was inspired by like David Lynch, like his childhood and all that stuff, the 50s Americana stuff, and I always thought like Jeffrey's character is like loosely based off of David Lynch.
Like,
did you ever get that? Because he kind of looks like the way they make him look. He kind of looks like a young David Lynch.
Yeah,
and he's like kind of into, or like I'm assuming what the stuff David Lynch liked and stuff back then. I don't know.
I suppose.
Yeah.
But David Lynch was in a relationship with Isabella Rossellini at the time, so
Yeah.
I don't know. There is some truth to that. Yeah, I really like the I really like the characters in this movie. Dennis Hopper just plays this crazy, just psychosexual pervert.
Yeah.
He loves to have his mouth stuffed with velvet and slaps her around.
I think Dennis Hopper's Frank Booth, I think at least is in the top 3 movie villains.
He's so great. He's just
I think he's better than Heath Ledger's Joker. I'm going to say that right now.
Honestly, yeah, because he didn't stop to complain about the society we live in.
What's that?
Well, yeah, he's not complaining about the society that we live in.
Yeah.
We live in a society where punks like you like Heineken over Pabst Blue Ribbon.
That's the one. That's like that's one of the best scenes in the movies.
Yeah.
When he asked Jeffrey when they go in the bar, it's like, "What kind of beer do you like?" Jeffrey's like, "Heineken." He's like, "Heineken, fuck that shit." Pabst Blue Ribbon.
Pabst Blue Ribbon is so cheap. Like every bar sells it for like $2.
I know.
It just tastes very just meh.
It's a hipster beer.
Yeah, well, not even hipster beer. It's just towny beer. It's just for when you're out at the bar with friends and you don't want to spend too much, so you get a Pabst Blue Ribbon or a Miller Lite. It's when you go to the strip club and you don't feel like paying for a dance, so you bring $5 in tips and then you buy a Pabst Blue Ribbon so you can sit at the bar and watch. That's what Pabst Blue Ribbon and Miller Lite are for. But I like how earlier, like they establish. I love how it just kind of like just a totally innocuous line where they're just sitting in the club and he's just like, I really like Heineken beer, and then that just like comes around, again it's like poetry, they rhyme. Yeah. The music is really cool. The original score is by David Lynch regular Angelo Badalamenti, who's done Twin Peaks iconic soundtrack. Did Mulholland Drive and stuff like that. Great composer. And there are some other songs that are utilized in it. Obviously, Bobby Vinton's Blue Velvet is used both just in its original version and then a cover by Isabel Rossellini. Another song, this was the first time that David Lynch and Angelo worked with British singer Julie Cruz. She sings The Mystery of Love, which appears during the dance scene. It would appear on her debut album, which featured many of her songs from the Twin Peaks soundtrack. Her music is great, very ahead of its time, sort of dream pop, and the song is no exception. It really is very pretty and ambient, and it points to the future of the great music we'd be hearing on Twin Peaks in the Roadhouse. I really love the music in this. David Lynch has always had very amazing sound design. Eraserhead, for example, it took them a whole year. I believe the guy's name was Alan Splickett or something that he worked with. They spent a whole year on just making the ambient sound design. And in fact, like you can listen to the soundtrack on Spotify and it's literally just the ambient sounds from the movie. And I listen to it from time to time, just sometimes when I just like want to have just like a very ambient experience. I'll listen to it and it's actually really nice. Whenever I'm trying to write something, I'll listen to it.
Yeah, I had the Eraserhead soundtrack on shuffle not too long ago.
Mm-hmm.
It was just it was in some playlist I had, I think, and I would be like, I was actually at work and it's not really noise when I'm at work, but sometimes like I'm like, why isn't music playing? Oh wait, it is. It's the Eraserhead soundtrack.
Did you and Mary have sexual intercourse? But back to Blue Velvet. Great sound. It's a pretty violent movie in many ways. There's a bit of gore with like brains being shot and stuff like that. A lot of sort of sexual violence, like Dennis Hopper beating Isabel Rossellini and stuff like that. I really like the climax. It very much feels like a nightmare. Like if you ever had a dream where you're being like stalked by a killer or something like that, what you would do, you'd hide in the closet and wait, and that's what works in the end. Like it's a little comical how the end plays out, where he just like he searches in all the rooms except the closet, and that like all he does is open the door and just gets fucking blasted. That's it.
Yeah.
Oh, spoilers. To an old movie.
The movie's like over 30 years old.
That's true, but some movies have had good kept secrets for the longest time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Why do I know?
I would give this movie a 10 out of 10.
I'd probably give it a 9 out of 10. I find the pacing a little slow sometimes, and it's not the David Lynch movie I come back to the most. That would usually be that's usually Eraserhead or Elephant Man.
Yeah.
And like my favorite David Lynch project is Twin Peaks, all of that. But I really like this one. It's definitely something I'd recommend to people who are trying to get into David Lynch, but with just the caveat that, like, okay, just going in, it's gonna be a little gonzo. Like, it's gonna be odd. There's gonna be some disturbing stuff in it if you're not used to any kind of disturbing movies. Like, yeah, it's no like Solo or something like that. But to a general audience member, it is there's a really funny. There's this really funny bit in Squid and the Whale. It's this movie that Wes Anderson produced, and Jeff Daniels plays just this sort of art ho dad, and Jesse Eisenberg and his very innocent girlfriend. They're like, "Oh, we were gonna go see Short Circuit. Did you want to come with us, Dad?" And he's like, "I heard Blue Velvet's pretty good." And then just like hard cuts to them to the scene where Isabel Rossellini is naked in the front porch, and Laura Dern's just like shocked at what she's seeing. It's just like hard cuts to that. It's just like so funny, just taking your son and his girlfriend to go see Blue Velvet. Oh, that's funny.
I heard.
Yeah, I give it a 9 out of 10.
I heard that, speaking of Jeffrey Daniels, I heard that he comes into the Costco in my town sometimes.
Huh.
I guess. I don't know.
I'd be like,
yeah.
"Hey, Jeff Daniels, you were good in Gettysburg, the 1993 4-hour war epic, which I recommend to anyone who wants to watch a 4-hour war movie. This is very good, probably the best one."
I watched a little bit of that at school. Anyways,
yeah, it's good. Yeah.
Anything else about the Mummy or Blue Velvet? Anything? Comments?
Are you talking to me?
Do you have any other comments about the Mummy?
No.
Yeah, I don't either. I'm gonna wrap this up. I'm trying to think. I was originally with the Mummy thing. We were gonna review the Scorpion King trilogy next, but I want to take a break from anything Mummy related.
Yes.
Yes.
I'm
Yeah.
kind of cursed by the Mummy. No pun intended. Been cursed by the Mummy for a while because I've been delaying this podcast. So
It's fine.
I'm thinking about. There's a few movies to watch review next.
If I could throw a suggestion in the hat, I think you guys should check out Love and Mercy by Bill Poland, the Brian Wilson biopic. It's a really fantastic movie. I really recommend that you watch it.
Is this the one from a few years ago?
Yep, with John Cusack.
I've seen it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it'd make for a really nice discussion. So somewhere down the road.
Yeah, I was actually thinking about since I just saw it. I can wait. I was actually thinking about doing a newer movie in the theater. I was thinking about Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. And
yeah,
it's summer because I'm gonna be seeing that soon. So
I am for sure seeing Once Upon a Time in Hollywood on Tuesday. So maybe next time this week or next week we can talk about that.
Yeah, that'll work.
Just drop me a line.
Okay.
Alrighty. Good night, you Scott the Woznians.
Yep. Night.